Mud closed over him like a second skin. It stank of rotting leaves, iron-rich soil, and stagnant water, but Captain Elias Cole didn't flinch. Even his breathing was shallow, disciplined, the slow rhythm of a predator conserving oxygen. Above the floodplain, pale blue searchlights swept between the tree trunks. The alien voices were a rasping mix of clicks and guttural tones, layered with deliberate mockery. Humans hide. Humans paint faces like children. Mud does not make prey invisible. The nearest beam passed so close Cole could see dust motes glittering in its haze. He remained still, eyes half-lidded, letting the beam slide over him as if he weren't there at all. A splash broke the pattern. Someone stumbling in knee-deep water, careless and loud. Through the curtain of reeds, a figure lurched into view, a young woman, human, gear half-submerged, rifle clutched tight. She was scanning wildly, her chest heaving with each breath. The alien light pivoted toward her position. Cole moved. 1 second he was part of the swamp, the next he was beside her, a gloved hand snapping over her mouth. His other arm hooked her waist and pulled her under the cover of twisted roots. She fought, until her gaze met his. Recognition flared. "Captain Cole," she breathed as soon as he eased his hand away. He didn't answer, just pressed a finger to his lips and tilted his head toward the searchlight. It passed by again, this time so near she could feel the warmth of its beam on her damp cheek. When it was gone, Cole finally spoke, voice low and even. "You step like a quarry animal. That'll get you killed before sunrise." The young woman straightened as much as the mud allowed. "Private Lien Torres, 2nd Recon. My unit is gone," Cole finished. "I saw the wreckage. You want to survive the night, you follow my lead. No questions. No noise. No mistakes." Her jaw tightened. "And if I don't?" He shifted the rifle slung across his back, scanning the darkness. "Then you're just more bait for them." Above, faint mechanical whirs grew louder, patrol drones circling back. Cole reached into the water, pulling up a fistful of dark mud and smearing it across her face, into her hair, down the exposed skin of her neck. She flinched at the cold, but he ignored it. "They see heat. This will mask most of yours. The rest? You control by slowing your heart rate. I don't." He cut her off with a glance so sharp it felt like an order embedded in stone. "Learn." They moved through the swamp like shadows, Cole's path a labyrinth of submerged roots, mossy banks, and curtains of vines that swallowed sound. Every footstep was measured, every pause deliberate. Lien tried to match his pace, but she still made ripples. Cole never did. Half an hour later, they crouched beneath a fallen log, watching a trio of alien hunters on the ridge. They were tall, armored in segmented plates that glimmered faintly in the moonlight. Their elongated helmets sprouted thin antennae that twitched, scanning for chemical traces. Cole studied them without expression. Lien whispered, "They're mocking us. Saying this is too easy." "Let them," Cole murmured. "The harder they laugh, the less they look." One alien broke from the group, hopping down toward the bog. Cole's hand slid to the knife at his thigh. The alien paused at the water's edge, head cocking slightly. Lien held her breath. Her heart pounded so loudly she was sure the thing could hear it. Then, a splash from the opposite bank. A dart of light from a drone. The alien turned and moved toward the noise. She glanced at Cole. "Was that you?" He gave no answer. They moved again, silent and swift, deeper into the swamp until the searchlights became faint smears in the trees behind them. As dawn began to seep into the canopy, Cole stopped beside a mound of tangled roots. He crouched, brushing away leaves to reveal a camouflaged pack, dry rations, water purifier, spare ammunition. Lien stared. "You've been out here for days." "Months," Cole corrected. "These hunts, they don't end unless we make them. And you? He met her gaze for the first time in full light. His eyes were steady, almost calm. I end hunts. Before she could reply, a distant roar cut through the morning haze, the hunters rallying for another sweep. Cole hoisted his rifle, checked the chamber, then looked at her. This is where you stop thinking like prey. Rain had turned the swamp into a mirror. The surface quivered under each drop, breaking reflections into fractured shards. Cole crouched low on a ridge of slick roots, scanning the dark water below. Lien knelt beside him, her soaked fatigues clinging to her frame, the cold leaching heat from her body. They can't see us, right? She whispered, her voice nearly lost in the hiss of rainfall. Cole's answer was quiet, but certain. Not if you stop breathing like prey. She tried, slowing her breaths, letting her heartbeat match the tempo of the rain. A faint mechanical hum drifted through the mist, patrol drones sweeping in overlapping arcs. Their lights cut through the fog in pale blue cones, searching for warmth and movement. Cole's eyes never stopped moving. Thermals will pick us up unless we trick them. Watch and learn. He reached into his pouch, pulling out a handful of crushed leaves mixed with damp clay. The smell was sharp, like pepper and wet earth. He smeared it over his arms and neck, blending skin and scent into the environment. Lien followed his lead, wincing at the grit grinding into her skin. Through the haze, 3 alien hunters emerged, stepping over submerged logs with predatory grace. Their segmented armor reflected faint glimmers of lightning overhead. Their voices carried, a rhythmic, mocking chant in a language Lien didn't understand, but the tone was clear, contempt. Cole leaned closer. They're overconfident. That's the first crack we'll use. How? She murmured. Instead of answering, he picked up a pebble and flicked it into the shallows several meters away. The splash was soft, but the alien closest to them froze, antennae twitching toward the sound. A moment later, a drone pivoted in the same direction, its light beam slicing across the water. The nearest hunter signaled to the others, then moved toward the noise. Cole tapped Lien's shoulder and slipped in the opposite direction, each step in perfect sync with the rainfall's masking rhythm. They reached a tangle of roots beneath a massive fig tree. Cole knelt, placing his rifle across his lap. Their strength is vision and speed. Take those away, and they stumble. From the ridge above, one of the hunters stepped forward, scanning the canopy. Cole slid a small mirror from his belt pouch and angled it toward the alien's helmet visor. The reflected lightning flash was brief but blinding. The alien stumbled back, hissing. The second hunter turned toward the commotion, right into a misdirected drone beam. Confused, they raised their weapon, aiming at the third hunter by mistake. A sharp bark of alien curses followed. Lien stared. You didn't even fire a shot. Cole's tone was flat. Waste of ammo. Let them take themselves apart. As they withdrew deeper into the swamp, Lien began to notice patterns, the way Cole used the terrain to mask every move, how he stayed just beyond the edge of vision, how sound always seemed to come from somewhere else when he shifted position. You've been doing this a long time, she said. Cole's gaze flickered toward her, then back to the mist. Long enough to know they believe the hunt is a game. It's not. It's a trade, risk for reward. My job is to make the risk unbearable. They froze as another drone drifted overhead, its scanner sweeping side to side. Cole eased a handful of thick mud onto its thermal lens as it passed low, the impact barely audible over the rain. The beam dimmed, then faltered entirely, the drone spiraling down into the water with a hiss of shorted circuits. That's one, Cole said quietly. The distant alien chatter had changed. Lien didn't speak their language, but she recognized the tone now, sharper, faster, tinged with frustration. They know something's wrong, she murmured. They're starting to, Cole corrected. A deep, resonant horn sounded from beyond the ridge. Lien glanced toward the source, but Cole's hand tightened on her arm. His voice dropped to a near growl. "They're calling in the Skyrend pack." "The what?" He gave her a look that cut through the rain. "Things that don't mock. Things that just kill." The horn echoed again, closer this time. Lien felt the ground tremble beneath her boots. Cole rose, water streaming from his gear, rifle ready. "This was the easy part," he said. The horn blast faded into a low, trembling echo, swallowed by the rain. Cole's expression didn't change, but Lien saw his grip tighten on the rifle stock. "What's a Skyrend?" she asked, voice kept low out of instinct. His reply was clipped. "Pack hunters. Faster than their infantry. Smell blood through running water." A distant rustle moved through the canopy, too deliberate to be the wind. Lien's pulse quickened. Cole motioned her forward, weaving through dense vines until they reached a ridge overlooking the alien camp. Below, floodlights cut white scars through the mist, revealing a knot of hunters gathered around Talvek. The alien commander's armor was marked with ceremonial etching, his helmet ridged like the crown of a predator bird. His voice carried in sharp bursts of their language. Lien didn't understand the words, but the body language was clear, frustration bleeding into anger. Cole studied the formation, eyes flicking from weapon placements to patrol routes. "They've lost half a squad. They're regrouping." "They still have numbers," she said. "That just means more to confuse." He slipped a compact transceiver from his vest, twisting the frequency dial until static gave way to the alien channel. Their voices filled her earpiece, short, tense exchanges layered with interference. Cole's fingers moved over the device, injecting fragments of recorded chatter from earlier hunts. Within minutes, the camp's rhythm faltered. Hunters spun at phantom signals, two patrols colliding in the fog. An alien cursed, shoving another aside. Talvek's antennae twitched in agitation. Lien couldn't help a thin smile. "You're making them think there's more of us." "That's the idea." They slipped away from the ridge, circling toward the western flank. There, Cole positioned a cluster of reflective foil between two half-submerged logs. From a distance, it looked like the silhouette of an armored figure. He propped a broken rifle stock against it, then vanished into the foliage. Minutes later, a trio of hunters closed in on the decoy. Lien watched through the scope as the lead alien gestured sharply. The second raised a weapon, then dropped, a knife buried deep in the side of its neck. Cole emerged just long enough to tip the body into the water, then melted back into the trees. The other two fired wildly, their rounds tearing into the decoy before one stumbled into a concealed snare and was yanked into the canopy. The last stood alone, weapon trembling. Lien steadied her rifle but hesitated. Cole's voice was in her ear. "You're shot." Her breath slowed. She squeezed the trigger once. The alien dropped without a sound. When they regrouped, Cole gave her a single nod, approval, unspoken but unmistakable. Back at the main camp, Talvek's tone had changed. Gone was the slow, mocking cadence. Now his orders cracked like whips. The Skyrend pack arrived, sleek, quadrupedal shapes sliding through the mist, each as tall as a man, their bodies rippling with muscle under matte black hide. Their eyes glowed faint amber, scanning in rapid sweeps. "They'll track heat and movement faster than drones," Cole murmured. "We'll use their speed against them." The plan unfolded with precision. Cole set motion-triggered flares at knee height, angled to blind the Skyrend when they broke through the underbrush. Lien placed tripwires across shallow channels, camouflaged under floating debris. Every trap was silent until sprung. When the first Skyrend charged, the flare seared its vision white. Disoriented, it barreled into a waiting hunter, knocking both into a pit of sharpened stakes hidden beneath the water. The second pack member gave chase toward what it thought was prey, only to crash headlong into a collapsing bank Cole had undermined earlier. Through the chaos, alien shouts rose, sharp, panicked, fractured. Hunters fired into the dark, hitting more of their own than their targets. Lien found herself crouched beside Cole on a high root, watching the confusion spread. "They're afraid," she realized aloud. Cole's voice was even. "Fear makes them sloppy. Sloppy makes them dead." Talvek himself entered the fray, cutting down one of his own blinded pack beasts when it lunged at him. In that instant, Cole dropped from the ridge, closing the distance in silence. Talvek turned just as Cole's mud-slick hand smeared across his chest plate, leaving a clear print. The alien froze, weapon half raised. Cole stepped back into the fog, disappearing before Talvek could react. When he rejoined Lien, she stared at him. "Why didn't you kill him?" Cole checked the rifle, sliding in a fresh magazine. "A dead leader's replaced. A humiliated one tells stories, and those stories keep them looking over their shoulder." From the camp below came the sound of Talvek's roar, raw and furious, echoing through the rain. Cole glanced at Lien. "Now they hunt me. That's when they start making mistakes." The rain had stopped hours ago, but the ship still smelled of wet steel and ozone. Captain Mara Vance stood at the observation deck, watching the fractured debris field drift past. Her reflection in the glass looked older than she remembered, sharp eyes shadowed by weeks of unrest. Somewhere out there, beyond those blackened fragments, an answer waited. She just didn't know if it would be salvation or execution. "Captain, you're going to want to see this." The voice belonged to Lieutenant Reese Calder, her communications officer, young, precise, always with that thread of anxiety under the surface. He stood in the doorway, tablet clutched tight as if the words on it might escape. Mara didn't turn. "Another distress signal?" she asked. "No." A response. From them. That got her attention. She pivoted, boots ringing against the deck. The them he referred to needed no clarification, the Zelthari Dominion. The enemy. The reason half her crew was buried in a star's cold shadow. Reese stepped forward, passing her the tablet. The message was short. "Return the prisoner, or your colony dies first." No signature. No encryption pattern she recognized. Just a voice print, deep, graveled, and burning with contempt. Her pulse ticked faster. Did anyone else see this? Only me. I scrubbed the transmission log. He hesitated before adding, "I thought you'd want to decide who hears it." Mara studied him for a beat. Reese was loyal, but loyalty cut both ways. He wanted to protect her command, and maybe himself. "Call a senior staff briefing in 10, she said. "And lock this down." By the time the war table lit up with holographic star maps, the air in the strategy room was thick with the scent of burnt CAF and recycled air. Commander Ilara Kor leaned against the far wall, arms folded, watching everyone like a hawk deciding which prey would twitch first. Engineer Helbrennan was already pacing, his tools clinking faintly in the pocket of his grease-stained vest. "Let's keep this clean," Mara said, projecting the Zelthari message into the air. The voice echoed through the room, harsh and deliberate. The table's light painted everyone in cold blue. Ilara broke the silence first. "So they know we have him." "They've known," Hal said, not looking up. "Question is why they're only asking now." Reese shifted in his chair. "Maybe they think we're desperate enough to deal. Maybe they know something about the colony we don't." Mara kept her tone even. "Or maybe they're baiting us into a mistake." She studied each of them in turn. Ilara's gaze was steady, but her jaw had gone rigid. Hal's pacing had slowed, the sign his mind was already building half a dozen ugly scenarios. And Reese. Reese kept his eyes on the projection, as though looking away might let it burn him. The door hissed open without a chime, and the prisoner himself stepped inside, escorted by two security officers who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Tall, wiry, and wearing the ragged remnants of a Dominion field uniform, the Zelthary's skin shimmered faintly under the room's light. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes, pale silver, almost white, swept over the table with lazy precision. "You've received my commander's message," he said in flawless standard. No greeting. No preamble. Mara kept her hands at her sides. "And you walked in here why?" "To save you time." His mouth curved into something that might have been a smile, if you ignored the cold in it. "Your options are limited, Captain. Release me now, and your people live. Refuse, and," he let the rest hang in the air, heavy as a blade. Elara took a step forward, voice low but lethal. "You think threats work better face to face?" "They do when they're true," he replied. Mara studied him. His posture was relaxed, but every line of his body screamed control, the kind forged in years of command. Whoever he'd been before capture, he wasn't some disposable scout. He was leverage. "Escort him back," Mara said finally. The guards obeyed, though one cast a nervous glance at her on the way out. When the door sealed again, the room stayed quiet long enough for the hum of the ship's engines to fill the air. Hal broke the silence. "If they hit the colony, we can't get there in time." Rhesa's voice was tight. "And if we give him back, we lose our only bargaining chip." Mara's gaze fixed on the star map, the Zelthary border glowing like a wound across space. "We don't trade," she said. "We hunt." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Then we'd better find out what makes him worth the Dominion's trouble." The tension in the room shifted, not relief, but focus sharpening into something dangerous.